Yes, folks, it's John G. Sutton here. Tales from the jails. We're going to talk today a little bit about the Scrubs and also about something called the Kirstler Arts Awards, which I think is a very positive aspect brought to people who are currently incarcerated in prison. Anyway, let's start with the Scrubs. Don't forget, tonight at 9 o'clock on ITV there's a programme about HMP Wormwood Scrubs in one of Britain's most notorious prisons. As I said, I was there in 1975 to 1976, late 1976. When I was there, it was quite violent, actually. I mean, they didn't think anything about snatching prisoners and whipping them down to the segregation units or the secluded strip cells, which they had on C1 in the landing where the wing where I worked. The Scrubs is actually named after the area of land that it's built on, because the scrub land, they had a shrub there called the wormwood. Now, wormwood is used in the creation of a drink called absinthe. Apparently it gives you hallucinations. I can't say I've had any myself, but I certainly would give it a try. I bought my son-in-law a bottle of absinthe, but I don't think that it's got the wormwood in like it used to have. But anyway, that's why they call it Wormwood Scrubs, because it's built on the scrubland where the shrub, the wormwood, was growing. Built in the late 1850s, I believe, and opened in something like 18 something or other. Anyway, it's nearly 200 years old, isn't it? It's a dump. Anyway, tonight you're going to see that. Yeah, I was there when the IRA went on the roof in I believe it was February 1976. It could have been January 1976. I know it was damn cold when we got up there. Because we had to go up and into the roof space, because they were on the roof and we were up there in what they call mufti. That's minimum use of force tactical intervention. It's a name that they give to dressing up with big clubs and beating the shit out of people. Seriously. So we were up there in the loft space, right directly under the roof, and we all had pickaxe handles, about 20 of us. And the principal officer who was in charge of it said, "Right, follow me." He started banging on the roof so that the IRA who were on the roof could hear us. And we were chanting, believe this or not, chanting, "I ziggy zumba, 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 I ziggy zumba, zumba, zay," boom, bang, you know. Like they do at rugby matches, you know, when they jump up on the tables and whip all the clothes off. Well, certainly I've seen them do that when I was playing rugby for a team. And we weren't going to do that in the loft, though, on D-Wing. And what they'd done was they'd prepared themselves with, like, mock uniforms. And the IRA were refusing to come down because they thought they were going to get bashed. Eventually they did come down. The governor came and medical staff. And we had been sent up there with the clubs and wound up to deal with it. Well, generally speaking, that was the idea. We didn't do it. They allowed them off the roof, came down, and they were taken on to D1 landing. They were still dressed in this ridiculous outfit that they got, like pseudo paramilitary outfits, and they refused to put prison uniform on because they were demanding political status. I'm not unsympathetic to the Irish movement, but blowing people up and killing children and old people and women. I'm not sure that helps. I don't think it helps. Certainly it's an offence, and that's what they were locked up for. That's why they were in prison. Anyway, they refused to wear prison uniforms, so they said, alright, take them off. So they took them off, and they wouldn't put prison uniforms on. So they gave them blankets and said, right, put the blankets on. And they put the blankets on. There were 4 or 5 of them, I think. Put the blankets on, nothing else, completely bollock naked apart from that. And they said, yeah, but if you look at these blankets, they're all stamped HMP. Blankets thrown on the floor. And they marched them off through the prison from D wing, past C wing, past B wing to A wing, where they were located in the segregation unit. They had to walk through the prison naked as nature intended, just the birthday suits on, all the way across. The inmates were up at the window screaming and shouting, "Ray!" You know. It was a weird experience, that. But they didn't get thumped or anything like that. They absolutely didn't. They were perfectly safe and put in the cells at the segregation unit. But that'll be on the television tonight. I assume if they've done the job properly, it will. And perhaps details about that infamous character, Nicholas Van Hoogstraten. Because they'll be on about the major characters that were in there. Leslie Grantham and Tony Lambriano, who was a hitman for the Cray twins. He was in there on D-Wing when I was there. I was talking to him. He was very affable, actually. Something of an educated gentleman, seemingly reasonably educated gentleman, and an extremely good cook. He was, because they used to allow them to cook, you know. And he used to make meals for the other prisoners, specifically for Gordon Goody and Leslie Grantham and Jim Hussey and all that. Jim Hussey was one of the train robbers, but the brains behind it was Buster. He wasn't in the Scrubs. And the other guy, Gordon Goody, he was one of the brains behind it. He went to Spain and got himself a bar in Spain and worked there for perhaps 30 years, you know, for the last 30 years of his life. Gordon Goody. Completely stayed out of trouble. Unlike George Davis, that'll be on tonight, I assume. George Davis was on C2 landing. Affable, gregarious, amusing, somewhat comedic character. He was telling me that he'd been fitted up for that job, but he'd done so many others that really the police couldn't nail it on him, so they stitched him up. But then they got Roger Daltrey and the Who to wear these shirts, you know, "Free George Davis. George Davis is innocent." That should be on tonight. And of course, at the time in the Scrubs, they had a unit there that was very much. If you've ever seen the film Clockwork Orange, well, they had very much like that. That was based on what was going on in the Scrubs. They were doing experiments on sex offenders. They had them wired up to a machine, an ECG machine, and showed them diabolical films of children being tortured and people being blown up and reading the brainwaves to see what response they got. Then they either injected them or put them on long-term psychotropic drugs, you know, to see what effect the drugs had upon them, you know, to dissuade their minds from acting in a certain way, so that when they saw these horrible images, it wasn't stimulating the brain, it was actually, they were actually becoming averse to watching these images, exactly as it was in Stanley Kubrick's film Clockwork Orange. Very good, my droogies. Get some ultra-violence. But it was the staff that was doing the ultra-violence when I was there. They know nothing about dragging people off the yard, and they would fight. Don't know if they do that these days, but the staff would fight then. And there was some big staff, I tell you, in them days. unquestionable. If you kicked off on the landings, you were going to get snatched. And the first week I was there, I was just walking down on the landing, slopping them all out. This big jailer at the end, I think, stop that, man, stop. This bloody great big guy come running at me. I'm going to stop him, you know, so straight in the gut, you know, boof. Not injure him, you know, just put him down. Stop him from, I don't know what he'd done, but anyway, within 60 seconds, he'd gone off the land and he was down on the wands in a strip cell, all his clothes ripped off him, bleeding from the mouth and nose, and yeah, that's about in them days. Quite what they're doing now, I don't know. Send for your sister's best friend. She'll come running up. Listen, boys, don't do that. This is Jennifer. I won't have it. That's what they've got now. Unlike that maniac SAS guy that we had working with us. I mean, when he shouted, all the bloody jail could hear it. HMP Strangeways. That was as bad. They had Bootsy, school bully. That was also known as a school bully. Piggy, the clockwork. Not the clockwork, the Chinese money box, yeah. He was a strange character. The black dog. He used to walk around with a big gloomy face like that. Oh well. Whatever floats your boat, you know. It seemed to work at the time. It wasn't too popular going down the block. Of course, you got Norman Brown backing you all the way. He would do, because he was in the club with you at lunchtime. If you went in the club, that is. He was on last week. Did you see him? It showed him. Imagine the governor of the prison allowing himself to be filmed slugging beer at the bar with the staff. The governor, the number one man. Also, if you watch that Strangeways documentary from 1979, 1980, it shows Norman Brown with the number one chief officer in his office with the rule book, and they're discussing what charges they're going to put against me, because I was invited to go and speak to the media on television about the new trade union that I was forming, and I went, despite the fact that I'd been cautioned not to do so under the Official Secrets Act. I said, no, I'm an official of a registered trade union. If I'm given an opportunity to promote that trade union, then it's my duty to do so. So the number one governor, Norman Brown, and his chief officer, who was a member of the Prison Officers Association, by the way, they sat down together and decided what charges to put against me, and allowed themselves to be filmed by the BBC. Now, if that is what the governor and the chief officer will do to one of their officers, what will they do to the inmates? Anyway, it's now that time of day, and I'm going to... I have to ring and ding it, because it's a warning. Paula quite likes these songs, don't you, Paula? Yeah, not like Larry. Larry goes chasing after his favourite goat. As soon as he hears that ding-dong, while he's on, heads for the door, up on the moors at Rotherham, the rolling Yorkshire hills, chasing his goats round. Come here, Billy, Billy. Notice he's shouting for the billy goat's gruff, not the nannies. Our Larry's definitely a billy boy. Anyway, here is a song. When I was the Provost Corporal at the regiment in Germany, you know, it run the jail in the regiment, the regimental jail, the provost corporal. I always thought, poor bastards in there. I used to pretend to be shouting at them. I used to say to them, listen, in the day, I be the nasty bastard NCO shouting at you. So when we finish, we'll have a cup of tea and I'll sing you a song. Seriously, I did. Hey, and they knew then that they were safe because I wouldn't hurt them. I wouldn't, because I felt sorry for them. Did. And this is one of the songs that I sang them. It's George Formby's When I'm Cleaning Windows. So it's not singing, this is a torture. Last warning, if you look carefully out your windows now, you might see Larry. Well, he's a flapping, chasing the goats. Here we go. Now I go window cleaning, 'cause it's an honest job. For a nosy Parker, it's an interesting job. Oh, it's a job that just suits me. A window cleaner I would be, if you can see what I can see when I'm cleaning windows. Honeymooning couples too, you should see them bill and coo. You'd be surprised at what they do when I'm cleaning windows. In my profession I'll work hard till I'll reach the top. I'll climb that blinking ladder right to the very top. The blooming blind, she looks divine. The bridegroom, he is doing fine. I'd rather have his job than mine when I'm cleaning windows. The chambermaids, sweet names I call. It's a wonder I don't fall. My mind's not on my work at all when I'm cleaning windows. I know a fella, such a swell. He has a thirst that's plain to tell. I've seen him drink his bath as well when I'm cleaning windows. Oh, in my profession I'll work hard, but I'll never stop. I'll climb that blinking ladder till I get right to the top. Pyjamas lying side by side, ladies' nighties I have spied. I've often seen what goes inside when I'm cleaning windows. Now there's a famous talky queen. She looks a flapper on the screen. She's more like 80 than 18 when I'm cleaning windows. She pulls her hair all down behind, then pulls down her, never mind, and after that pulls down the blind when I'm cleaning windows. In my profession I'll work hard, but I'll never stop. I'll climb that blinking ladder till I get right to the top. An old maid walks around the floor. She's so fed up one day I'm sure she'll drag me in and lock the door when I'm cleaning windows. When I'm a cleaning windows. It's turned out nice again, hasn't it? Eh? Ooh, Mother, can you hear me, Mother? He was a character in, wasn't he? George Formby. At one time he was the highest paid artist in Britain. Then, of course, we had Gracie Fields as well. And she was a comedian, you know. I mean, she was a singer as well. I mean, you can't be serious when you think something like this. Do you remember her singing, Sally, Sally, pride over Ali. She's not good. God. Give me a break. Anyway, don't forget to buy my book, folks. It's there on Amazon. John G. Sutton. Type it in. HMP Manchester Prison Officer. Don't forget to watch tonight. Britain's Notorious Prisons. I've given you a bit of outline of what was going on. I hope you enjoyed that. Bye now.